Welcome back to PhDchannel.com. I'm Rene Molina. We're happy to have the president of the University of Makati as our guest here on PhDchannel.com. And a very young, dynamic president of the University of Makati, Dr. Prof. X Ramos. Good afternoon, Prof. X. How
Good
are you?
afternoon. Doing good. Uh, Still adjusting with the new learning environment, but so far we're doing good here in Manila, here in the University of Makati.
Have you gone back to face classes already, Prof?
Unfortunately, at this time, the government has only allowed limited face-to-face classes, only for
Mm-hmm.
select courses. But for our university, we are still 100% purely online.
Mm-hmm.
Though we have already signified our intention to have limited face-to-face classes in our allied health programs.
So you're just waiting for the go signal from the national government when you
Yes.
start. Uh, sir, has the semester changed already? I mean, the school year changed already? I mean, I've been away for quite some time. So is it still June, July as first semester, or you've changed it already? It has been changed by the government.
Well, actually, there was even before the pandemic, there
Mm-hmm.
were some universities who already made the shift in their school calendar, opening
Mm.
in August and September. But since we are a public tertiary institution, for us, we it does not really make sense to change the school calendar because bulk of our students, our freshman intake, come from the public school system, and
Mm.
our Department of Education, our public school system here in the Philippines, did not change their school calendar. It was
Oh, I
actually
see.
COVID that actually changed it
Ah,
for us.
yeah.
So
Oh.
last year, when there was a lockdown announced by the government, started in March. In fact, the school year was not yet over then, so there were some adjustments done by most schools, more
Mm-hmm.
particularly by DepEd,
Mm-hmm.
wherein they just took into consideration the grades of the students for the first 3 quarters and half of the last quarter. And
Mm-hmm.
because there was still a lot of uncertainty at that time, the national government decided to move the school opening from the usual June, July that you were
Mm-hmm.
mentioning, Sir Rene, to
Mm-hmm.
August and September. So
Oh.
because the
Mm-hmm.
national government adjusted it, we also took the cue and adjusted our
Mm-hmm.
calendar as well. So
I
for
see.
this year, we just started our first semester for school year 2021-2022 last August.
Okay, and it will end sometime before December.
Around January. Usually a
January.
semester runs about
Oh,
5 months. Yeah.
across the Christmas break. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Ramos, whereabouts are you from the Philippines? Are you from Makati or whereabouts did you grow up?
Actually, I am from the city of Makati. I grew up here. I was born and raised here.
Mm,
The University of Makati actually is a public tertiary institution owned by the
mm-hmm,
city government. There are two types of public tertiary institutions in the Philippines. One is actually sponsored or owned by the state, like the
mm-hmm,
University of the Philippines, the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. And so these are state colleges and universities. No? Another type would be the LCUs or local colleges and universities, where the
mm,
University of Makati is actually a part of. So our budget does not come from the national government, it comes from the local government, in this
I
case, the
see.
city government of Makati.
Oh, okay. So it's like the pamantasan ng lungsod ng Maynila or something like that, or the City
Yes,
University
yes,
of Manila. Oh, okay.
yes.
That's good. But the University of Makati has been existing for quite some time already. Not as a university, but as a college, I believe. Dr. Ramos.
Uh, Actually, next year would be a milestone for the university as we will be
Mm-hmm.
celebrating our 50th year of existence.
Wow. Mm.
It was actually founded in 1972 by the late Mayor then Nemesio Yabut
Mm-hmm.
of the city of Makati. We actually started as a polytechnic community college,
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
then eventually became a full-blown college, and then now a university.
How many students do you have, Dr. Ramos? I mean, a rough estimate of the university.
Right now, based on our student enrollment, we have 15,342
Oh,
students.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Uh, about 4,000 of them are actually enrolled in our senior high school because we also operate a
Mm-hmm.
senior high school, grades 11
Mm-hmm.
and 12. And
Mm-hmm.
then the 11,000 would comprise the students from our different baccalaureate and diploma programs in the tertiary level.
Mm. And you do you have other campuses, or you only have one campus for the university?
We only have one campus, but it's a sprawling campus. It's actually a very
Oh,
big campus.
where is it
We have three
located,
academic
Dr. Ramos?
buildings.
Where is it
Come again, sir?
located? Where is
It's
located?
actually
Yeah, the campus.
it's along JP Rizal extension. We're fronting the Pasig River.
Oh,
So
okay.
probably for the Filipinos who are based in New Zealand,
Mm-hmm.
if you lived in Pateros, if you go
Mm.
straight JP Rizal, you will end up in
Mm.
Pateros. And
Oh,
to the south of our building would be BGC, or the Bonifacio Global City, because
okay.
this used
Mm-hmm.
to be part of the military reservation. No? This used to be
Ah,
part of
okay.
Fort Bonifacio.
Yes, now I
In
under,
fact,
yeah.
the old name of the college then, because it was merged, there was a school that was standing here. It was Fort Bonifacio College then.
Oh, okay.
People from the Philippines or those who grew up in Makati,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they have relatives who were part of the military, who were living
Mm.
in the Rembo, Sembo, Pembo area,
Yes, mm-hmm.
would
That's
fondly
correct.
call this as barko
Ah,
or ship.
barco. Oh, the ship.
Yeah, that was what they called the area before.
Uh, I remember I was studying at Adamson University then, and so our ROTC. I don't know, Dr. Ramos, if you still underwent the ROTC. So that's the Reserve Officers Training Corps. For the first 2 years in the university in the Philippines, all male students had to undergo 4 semesters. So normally, because we were naval ROTC, we will go on a Sunday to Fort Bonifacio, because somewhere within the complex is a big naval station or reserve somewhere there. So I'm quite familiar with the old Fort Bonifacio. I
Yeah,
will be lost now because I think it has been sold to the private sector, the BGC. So the military is no longer there. So I can just imagine now. I can picture where your campus is, and wow, it's a beautiful place of the metropolis and of Makati. And Dr. Ramos, you also studied at the University of Makati, or you took your PhD in another university.
actually, I'm a full-blooded Letranite.
Oh, Arriba
I
Letran.
Arriba, yeah. So I was educated by the Dominicans. Some would call
Mm.
them the Demonicans, no? But it's actually the Dominicans that
The
actually
Dominican.
educated me.
Yes.
So I took up my grade school, high school, my college, and my MBA at Colegio San Juan de Letran in Intramuros, Manila.
Mm,
And then,
mm-hmm,
so I graduated with a degree in economics in 1996, and I also
mm-hmm,
finished my MBA from the same school in 1998. And then I earned my PhD in management at the International Academy of Management and Economics.
mm.
I
That's in
think
Makati also,
sometime,
right? That's
yeah,
also in
yeah,
Makati. Mm,
yes. So I think it was
mm.
sometime, if I'm not mistaken, around 2007 or 2008.
Oh, okay. So you share the same college with Congressman Mikey Romero because he finished his PhD also at the
Yes,
IAME.
yes.
So after that, Professor X, you went into teaching right away, or were you working in the corporate field before you went to teaching?
Actually, even up to this time, a lot of people who know me then when I was
Hmm.
in college are quite surprised how I ended up in the academe.
Oh, okay.
I did share my story that I studied in the same school, and I was not really your typical model student. Uh, they say, especially in an all boys school, for
Mm-hmm.
you to be able to leave a mark, it's either you are really very intelligent, or you
Mm-hmm.
belong to the group of students that always gets into trouble and gets to see the principal every now and then. So I belong to the latter, no. Uh,
Okay.
so my friends, my schoolmates, even the school administrators in Letran were really surprised to find out that I was in the academe. So
Mm.
the story is quite quite interesting. Uh, I was actually the background basically is when I was in high school, I played for the varsity team in Letran. I was part of the track and field team
Mm.
of
Oh.
Letran, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a girlfriend then who is now my wife. She was studying at St. Scholastica's College in Manila, and I was studying in Letran. And then from time to time, I would pick her up, and we would go home together. So we were graduating from high school, and we both decided that we wanted to enroll in LaSalle. That's where we would want
Mm.
to go to college, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're quite familiar with the route, no? Because Saints Co just
Mm.
along
Just
Taft
across there.
Avenue is
Mm.
LaSalle, so quite near, no? So I took the exam ahead of her, and I told her, "No, the exam was very easy. I'm sure I'm going to pass." And then
Mm-hmm.
my girlfriend, then who's my wife now, a few weeks after, took the same exam and said, "You know, it's good that you had a very easy time. I had a difficult time with the entrance examination." So lo and behold, here comes the results of the exams. Oh, it was
Mm-hmm.
still snail mail then. It was not through an electronic mail, no. So
Mm-hmm.
you receive it, you open the envelope, and when I read my results, it says, "I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry to inform you that you did not pass the admission standards at De La Salle University." And because I was so proud, I
Mm-hmm.
actually did not attempt to take any admission exam in any other school.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up
Mm-hmm.
studying in the same school where I finished high school. So I ended up studying in Letran. And then my dad told me, he advised me, take a course in computer because that will be the next best thing.
Ah,
So true
yes.
enough,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
enrolled in a course in computer management.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, during the early 90s, uh, computers were very expensive. And the
Mm-hmm.
educational system here in the Philippines then, for you to be able to take your computer class, you must
Mm-hmm.
first take up a typing class using the manual typewriter.
Yes, that's
Because the
correct.
keyboard was so expensive, you have to master the keyboard first. And I remember I had this professor who had a ruler. She would
Mm-hmm.
tap
Oh, yeah.
the ruler
Mm-hmm.
on the table, and you have to follow with the beats of your finger the tapping sound. Unfortunately, typing is a skill, and I never developed that skill. So to cut
Okay.
the long story short, I failed typing. So you could just imagine, I was first year in college, in first semester, and I already have a failing grade. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to shift to another course because typing was the prerequisite to computer. So I shifted
Mm-hmm.
to economics, which was also the course of my girlfriend then in LaSalle,
Mm-hmm.
so that I will have an excuse for group study
Mm-hmm.
because we were taking the same we were taking the same
Uh,
course.
so, Prof,
But anyway,
your girlfriend, Prof, your girlfriend was in LaSalle and you
she got admitted, and
got
I did not
admitted to
get
the.
admitted. So there was this faculty member in Letran who, of course, later on became my colleague.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, one of the lessons that I've learned that I've always value. How another person can actually motivate you and have an impact on your life.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was a teacher that actually motivated me. After one exam, she called me over and talked to me. In Filipino, she said, "Alam mo, sayang ka, matalino ka, kaso tamad ka." So she was actually saying, you know, you're missing out on a lot of things. You're
Mm-hmm.
very good, but you're lazy. No?
Mm-hmm.
So she actually mentored me until I was able to finish college, and actually did quite well towards the latter years of my course in economics. So uh, I was taking my graduate studies then at Letran also. I was taking up my MBA. And then the dean of the College of Business asked me, because he was also the concurrent dean of our graduate school at that time, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested to teach part-time. No?
Mm-hmm.
Because he was also my professor. Luckily, during the latter years already, not on the early part of my my studies. And he knew me as a very good student already at that time. So I said, why not? No, why not give it a try? So I had a teaching demo. I submitted my application, and during the course of the semester, we had a colleague, a co-faculty, whose immigration papers was approved. So he had to go to Canada and
Mm-hmm.
resign. So the dean told me, rather than hire another full-time employee, he asked me,
Mm-hmm.
"Would you be interested to actually go and teach full-time?" Okay, and then the love for teaching just developed from there. And in fact, a few years after, the I might probably say that I already made a name for myself in the teaching profession. LaSalle came to me and asked me if I wanted to teach in LaSalle. So I said, "You won't even accept me as a student. Now you're asking me to teach your students." So that was actually the story why I ended up in the academia, and
Mm-hmm.
I fell in love with what I'm doing. They say that you really can't make a lot of money, but the
Mm-hmm.
rewards is really more than
Yes.
financial. It's really when you see when you can make a change or an impact on the lives of other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a better reward
That's
uh,
correct.
that
That's
one
correct.
receives as a teacher.
Yeah, so that's the hidden intrinsic reward that we get as teachers. Professor X, you are also the president of the University of Makati. Am I? I'm correct, right, sir?
Yes, actually, I was appointed as the OIC president last September 1.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to my appointment, and still, actually, I am also concurrently the vice president for academic affairs. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
actually, the city has not yet formally opened the selection process for the
Ah,
next
okay.
president of the university. So my
Mm-hmm.
appointment actually is that of an officer in charge, but
Okay. Mm-hmm.
concurrently also the vice president for academic affairs of the university.
Mm-hmm. So, aside from your administrative role, you also do teach. You also teach, Professor Ramos. Do you still
I
have
teach
time
in
to
the
teach?
graduate program.
Mm-hmm.
I lecture from time to time. I also involve myself in a lot of social civic activities.
Mm.
I'm a director of the Philippine National Red Cross in Makati.
Ah,
Uh,
okay. Mm-hmm.
and also me and my wife were very staunch advocates of family life. So
Mm-hmm.
we're also a team couple in Marriage Encounter. So both me and my wife give marriage enrichments to couples. But really, what takes up a lot of my time really is my work here in the academe.
Mm-hmm.
UMAC is also part of a network of other local colleges and universities.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Association of Local Colleges and Universities, and I also sit as a member of the board of that organization. So there are about close to 200 universities or colleges that are also similarly set up like the University of Makati. These
Wow.
are
Oh.
funded
Oh.
by their local government units,
Mm-hmm.
but we can probably say here in UMAC that probably we're the most well funded because the city of Makati is the richest city in the Philippines. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
our annual budget in operating our campus is 1 billion pesos.
Wow. Wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge amount of money, and this does not include capital expenditure. This is only
Mm-hmm.
for personal services. So this goes to the
Mm-hmm.
salaries of our employees, and
Mm-hmm.
also for maintenance and operating expense. So it
Mm-hmm.
would be nice if you go and visit the Philippines,
Mm-hmm.
if you can also see our campus.
Of
In fact,
course.
one of the reasons why I also wanted to meet you personally, Sir Rene, is
Mm-hmm.
maybe we could also work towards like a sister university partnership
Yes.
with
Yes.
universities there in New Zealand
Yeah.
or colleges there.
Yeah. I was about
Uh,
to ask about that. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
You've been to New Zealand, sir, right? Together with
Yes,
Dr. Santos?
yeah, actually, the purpose of my visit then was to explore a possible uh, university partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we were planning to develop a course in a doctor in chiropractic program here in the University of Makati.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we were exploring international partners is because there is no existing doctor of chiropractic program here in the Philippines.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And one of our partners here in the university, who owns and operates several chiropractic clinics, suggested, no, why don't we go and visit New Zealand? They have a college there, and
Mm-hmm.
it has a very good program. And
Mm-hmm.
let's start an exploratory meeting if they would be willing to partner with the University of Makati. No?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that partnership did not push through because the university or the college that I was mentioning in New Zealand also is supporting a similar program in Australia. So
Oh,
that's
okay. Mm-hmm.
why they said that they want to concentrate first on the program, helping out the program that they're starting to build in Australia before
Mm-hmm.
branching out to other programs. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, I also met a Filipina nurse there who is also in the academy. I just forgot her name, but we were also talking about the possibility of maybe joint credit or joint programs that we can do together with the
Mm-hmm.
university, especially
Mm-hmm.
now because of the global pandemic. There is
Correct.
really a shortage of healthcare professionals.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we actually produce very good healthcare professionals here in the university. We have a
Mm-hmm.
nursing program. Uh, we produce board top notchers. We have a radiologic technology program, and we also have a pharmacy program here in the university.
Oh, wow.
So
Very good.
this is
Mm-hmm.
an area of, I think, cooperation that New Zealand would be also interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be a natural fit because unlike sending them to, uh, like for example, other countries that might be nearer here but they don't speak English,
Mm-hmm.
Australia and New Zealand would be a better fit because English, of course, is a second language for most Filipinos.
That's correct. That's correct. So, yeah, that's what I wanted. That was something also that I wanted to ask you, and it's good that you mentioned it, Professor Ramos, because, yeah, definitely. Well, I have some not really big access, but I have some contacts with the universities around here and colleges that I will link you with them, and let's see how it's gonna pan out. It could be. I know of three Filipino professors in the University of Canterbury. Although they are not into the health sciences, Professor Alex Tan, Dr. Alex Tan is the department chair of the International Relations and Political Science Department. Dr. Jerry Nartea is with the department chair of the Finance and Economics Department, and Dr. Susie Morish is the senior faculty of the Marketing Department. and of course, from them probably we could get contacts and details for those who are in the healthcare also. I know the University of Otago is very big in terms of medicine, dentistry, all these health sciences. They have that, and of course the University of Auckland. But definitely, Dr. Ramos, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation. And just to link New Zealand with the homeland, it could be exchange of ideas or professors, or could be an online webinar with, a lot of possibilities because the border is still closed. I'm so excited about about that, Professor X. Why is it Professor X? Is it
Well, actually,
XCX?
my full name is Elixir. No?
Yeah.
The spelling is quite difficult because it
Mm,
has the letters X, Y, and Z.
yeah,
So that's why to make it simple, they just call me Professor X or
yeah.
Dean
So
X, no? Because I
is
was
it?
dean for quite some time. Yeah, but yeah, Sir Rene,
Mm,
I really appreciate that if you can be able to link the university with some
of
of your
course,
friends
yeah.
there
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm,
New Zealand. This is also part of our trust for internationalization, because we want to always look at means and ways on how we can improve our delivery of service, how we can
mm-hmm.
improve our standards, especially in learning and in teaching. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that it goes both ways. No,
Mm,
it's not just UMAC learning. I know that our partners there can also learn something from us.
of course.
Uh, so it's really a very good way
Mm-hmm.
to be able to expand our network and our
Of
reach.
course. Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
do areas of cooperation in joint research,
Research,
in
yes.
faculty
Mm-hmm.
development, in
Mm-hmm.
student exchange,
Mm-hmm.
development of new courses,
Mm-hmm.
or even just like what you said, just webinars,
Mm-hmm.
exchange of ideas would of course already be highly appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I will also link you with, he was my classmate in the graduate school in UP, in communication. He's a priest, so I think he's the president now of a school in India, Father Raj. So you have a communication course or department, Professor Ramos?
Yes, we do. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
we were one of the first universities to address that specific need. Just like India, the Philippines is also a locator destination for BPOs, business process
Mm-hmm.
outsourcing companies.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said, English is a second language
English,
for
yeah.
us, and the cost of labor here in the Philippines is actually cheaper than most countries that can speak English well as well. No?
Mm-hmm.
So. Very early we already look at that potential, because the
Mm-hmm.
uniqueness of our university is because we're not for profit,
Mm,
because it's
yeah.
subsidized by the city government. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are actually a resident of the city government, you only pay 1,000 pesos per semester. So
Really?
that's roughly
Wow.
around like $20 per semester.
Wow.
If you are a non-resident of Makati, which we also accept students, but of course
Mm-hmm.
there's a quota if you're a non-resident, you only pay 3,000 pesos per semester, regardless of the
Mm-hmm.
course and the number of units that you are actually enrolled in. No? So,
Mm-hmm.
so for us, making money is not really the primary objective, unlike
Mm-hmm.
private tertiary institutions. No,
Mm, correct.
that
Mm-hmm.
for them to be able to run their programs, they must be able to break even or at least make money out of their course offerings. So
Mm-hmm.
for us, the one of the primary objectives is really employability.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not make sense for us, like, we subsidize the schooling of a student for 4 years in college, and then after 4 years ends up working as a crew in a fast food chain. because
Mm-hmm.
you can give that training in 6 months time. You don't need a 4 year degree to
Mm-hmm.
be able to land a job as a crew in a fast food store. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was very passionate about talking about partnering,
Mm-hmm.
because for us, really, that's really the formula to go. If you want to increase employability of your graduates, then you have to partner with institutions, with employers, with organizations that would help upgrade the skills, the competence of our students that will make them highly employable in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very much open to this conversation on
Very good.
partnership, on
Nice.
internationalization, and the
Mm-hmm.
like.
And as you're explaining it, your management ethos, your principles is coming out in in what you're saying. It's not just as an educator, but also the employability, and especially nowadays with what we call the new normal. I guess a lot of things could be done. The turnaround could be done in terms of online
Yeah.
engagement and things like that. Very good, Dr. Ramos. And I'm already beginning to think of who are the people that I could tap to, and then maybe take it from there. Especially here in New Zealand, they put a lot of premium on the healthcare sector and also on education. Our nurses, frontliners, our caregivers, our social workers, and all of those people working even during the lockdown, the pandemic. Dr. Ramos, what are the range of courses that you offer in the University of Makati?
Actually, it's a full range of courses
Mm-hmm.
as a university. So we have, if I'm not mistaken, around 14 colleges.
Wow.
We
Mm.
have we have a college of business. We have a college of tourism. We have a college of human kinetics. We have a college of education, college of arts and letters. We have a college of computer science, college of sciences. We even have a maritime program here.
Mm.
Uh, we have our college of technology. We have our college of engineering. Our youngest college is actually our school of law, and
Oh, wow.
you could
Mm.
just imagine, if you are actually a student of our law school, you don't
Mm-hmm.
even pay a single centavo.
Oh, not
Everything is
even.
provided
Oh,
for free. Not
oh.
even a
Mm.
single centavo. Even your books are provided for. And if you
Mm.
maintain a certain grade average, you even receive a stipend just
Oh,
for studying law.
just
So you
studying
could
law.
just imagine, you receive a monthly stipend of, I think, 10,000 pesos.
A month.
You
Oh,
don't
that's
pay
that. Mm. Mm-hmm.
you don't pay a single centavo for your tuition fees, and you receive a book allowance, and
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is study.
Wow.
So, but admission, of course, is cutthroat. It's very hard to get into the
Competitive.
program
Mm.
because all
Okay.
of them
Yes.
are scholars. So
Mm-hmm.
plus we put extra, consideration if you come from a marginalized sector, or if you belong to a socially economically challenged
Mm-hmm.
member of society. So
Mm-hmm.
we have students who are children of farmers, of tricycle drivers, and there's really no chance for them to be able to go and enter law school. But
Mm-hmm.
we gave them this opportunity, and hopefully they
Wow.
will make us proud. We actually graduated our first batch, and they're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to take the bar exams this November. But
Mm.
unfortunately, the bar exams was moved to a latter date. I think it will be moved sometime in January next year. So we're hoping
Oh.
that our first batch of law graduates started with 40 students, our initial batch, but only
Mm-hmm.
9 graduated. So
Mm.
very, very difficult to go into the program, and
Yeah.
much more difficult to actually stay in the program. So
Yes. Yes.
hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
all these 9 will pass and make the university proud.
Mm-hmm. And you have all the support system for them to not only for those who are taking up law, but I guess for all the other students of the University of Makati. Because at the end of the day, the objective really is to uplift and upskill everyone in terms of their capabilities, in terms of becoming a contributor to the society in Makati and in the Philippines. Dr. Ramos, I'd like to thank you for spending your afternoon with us. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, I'm looking forward to future engagements with you. There's a lot of possibilities to what you were saying. I think the person that you were mentioning, that she's a nurse, because she used to be with the New Zealand Nurses Organization, is Monina
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes, yes, correct,
Yes,
correct.
yeah, because
Yeah.
Monina Hernandez is like one of the nurse leaders here in New Zealand. And aside from being a nurse, she's also, I think she has finished her PhD. She's also studying for a doctorate at the Massey University. So I'll try to rekindle my contact with Monina, so that probably, and then take it from there. And also the others that we could work. I'm really excited about this. And because it's a non-profit organization, and I could see the possibility of it could baby steps probably, and then yeah, so we'll keep the lines of communication open. Dr. Ramos, for those who are watching us or listening to us who are students, especially graduate school students or postgraduate, what would be your advice? They're struggling, the pandemic and all of this. They're struggling for their masters, for their doctorate. What would be your advice to them, Dr. Ramos?
Well, being a parent and witnessing also a daughter of mine who is taking up her graduate studies in international studies, I could
Mm,
really see how hard it is. No? And being a teacher myself, I also see how hard it is to teach in the online learning platform. But at the end of the day, it's really one's decision to love what we're doing. We
mhm,
cannot force it upon other individuals. It's a personal choice. Just like happiness, you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be sad.
mhm,
So my advice is love what you're doing. Try to go back. Why did you go
mhm,
and enroll in the first place?
mhm,
Okay, so that's really my personal advice. No?
mhm.
And if you have a personal goal, if you have a personal vision of yourself, try to work towards achieving it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramos. And as we say in our native language, maraming salamat. Maraming salamat sa panahon, sa oras, for the time that you shared with our listeners or viewers. Hopefully, this will not be the first and the last time that we will have a Corero with you. And looking forward to more fruitful engagement, especially in research and in linkages in the coming future. Maraming salamat, Dr. Ramos, and also I'd like to thank our listeners and our viewers for tuning in to phdchannel.com. I am Renel Molina in behalf of Dr. Professor X Ramos of the University of Makati. Thank you, and God bless.